Good evening, Des Moines, Iowa, and the world. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program, brought to you from the webcast1live.com studios in Northside of Des Moines, and broadcast also on docandlefty.com. This is Lefty, as always, bringing you perspectives. Well, as always, except for last week, but bearing the perspectives you love from the side you hate, and across the table, celebrating the Cubs World Series with me today, and a big Hillary Clinton win in the Electoral College.
Not so much.
Doc Bertrosh. Doc, how's it going?
You know, I every so often, oh my God, look at my hair. Maddie, you said my hair looked good, and it looks like I got a horn. Anyway, I will tell you, every so often you come in and impress me. And here I am getting ready to start the show. Honest to goodness, his butt warms that chair 3 seconds before we're on the air. Boom, right on schedule. What a parade. Did you see that on TV?
I watched a bunch of it, yeah.
Unbelievable. I got lucky and I had a hotel that was 22 stories tall, looking straight down on it, and it was impressive. And I have never seen 5 million people together at one time, and it was just incredible. You couldn't move anywhere. They're trying to bring the Budweiser Clydesdale trucks up, and what they had to do is they had to have a phalanx of police in front, shoving people out of the way to bring the trucks through. It was just absolutely incredible.
Well, I haven't. You know what? I've not said the sentence out loud very often. I still really can't believe it. So last week I was gone. We didn't have a show. I think we ran a classic Doc and Lefty episode last Tuesday, because it was Game 6 of the World Series, and my beloved Chicago Cubs were attempting to force a Game 7, and they did. And in fact, they ended up winning that game 9-3. I was a mess the entire game. I knew that I would not be able to concentrate, even though the game started at 7. I wasn't going to be able to concentrate for that first half hour that I was gone. So Doc was nice enough to agree to not have.
You're not the only Cubs fan in the studio.
Well, see, I didn't know that. We've never talked about baseball.
Oh, that's true. Well, you follow it much more closely than I. I have always been a Cubbies fan. I have loved the Cubs. And honest to goodness, I thought, man, if they pull this off. In fact, what happened is I started to watch, and I got so anxious, I went, I can't watch. I'm just going to get up and see what they did tomorrow. And I couldn't resist. At 10 o'clock, I figured, well, that might be enough time to get. And they won, so I was excited. And then the next night, I thought, I should watch these guys.
Yep.
And I started watching, and it looked like Cleveland was just going to crush them, and I just went.
Game 7?
Yeah.
No, we were out at 5-1 in the third inning.
I get that, and then they came storming back.
No, they tied it at 6-6 in the 8th.
And I was done. I couldn't watch the rest of it.
At the end of the game.
I was done. I was like, I can't watch it.
I have a confession to make. When Cleveland tied it up in the 8th inning, I finally cracked. I don't make these kinds of predictions just in my normal everyday life, because I don't like being called out when I'm wrong, and also because you like to see them play the game, right? But I had been saying that this team, this Chicago Cubs 2016 team, was going to win the World Series probably back in June, like when they really started to roll right before their July slump. So they stormed out to an early lead in the Central and were going gangbusters through May. Jake Arrieta back in April pitched a second no-hitter. I mean, you couldn't touch these guys. They slump in July, kept the faith. They were so many games ahead of St. Louis, it wasn't even close. And then August, they were just ridiculous. I went to a game in September, the Labor Day Sunday game against the Giants, and saw they could hang with that really tough pitching. And I was very confident throughout the entire season. I was confident when they took a 2-0 lead in the NLDS. I was confident they were going to come back in the NLCS, and they did. But Game 7 of the World Series, when Cleveland tied at 6-6. every single moment of my life as a Cubs fan came crashing down on me. I remembered I remember in 2003. I was remembering 2007, 2008. I was remembering getting swept by the Mets last year. Earlier memories than that, I don't have as much. 98. I was around, but I wasn't. They were a good team, but it wasn't as memorable. Kerry Wood was only a rookie. We didn't know what he was going to turn into, even though he struck out 20 Astros. But still, all those memories came crashing down, and I cracked. I said to myself, I don't know how they can possibly win this game now. They're on the road. It's tied. Cleveland's got the hot bat. We don't have a closer anymore. They just every time I started to doubt, they proved me wrong. Every single time during the season, the Cubs came and they pulled it out, and the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. I still can't believe it, and I can't say it without a smile. I've watched that ground out from Bryant to Rizzo about 90 times this past week. It was unbelievable.
It was just historic. Now, in your defense of your emotional state, how many other times have the Cubs let us down?
Yeah, every single time.
Every time.
Every single time.
And just to throw a little Christianity in here, I thought the rainstorm was divine providence, right? So I think that rainstorm saved them. And I talked to a lot of the Cubs fans this weekend in Chicago who agreed with me. Now, I had a great weekend in Chicago. It was a lot of fun. The parade was nuts. People celebrating every day. I got there Thursday, people celebrating. Got there Friday, watched the parade, people celebrating. Saturday, people were celebrating. And in an historic twist that's even more impressive than the Cubs, the National Irish team beat the All Blacks. Now, if you don't know anything about rugby, that's okay. This is what rugby is like currently in the world. It is a lot like the Central Iowa Conference in football, except you have the Green Bay Packers in this conference, and everybody else is Johnston and Waukee and the rest of them. And that is how much further ahead the All Blacks are. Ireland, 111 years, so beat the Cubs by 3, managed to beat them, and beat them soundly, and were grateful afterwards. And I'm wearing my New Zealand shirt because I am an England and New Zealand fan. And I'm an Irish fan. I'm a fan of all the teams, but when you have to pick, I go with New Zealand. And I will tell you, if I was a drinking man, I could have drank free all night long because every Irishman is like, we're never going to be it. We've never done this before, but we're going to buy you a beer in consolation. Thank you very much. People were astounded. It was amazing. The entire world stood still and celebrated with the Irish. How much better can a weekend get in Chicago? I don't know. Lefty, do you know how much better a weekend could get in Chicago than that?
Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
Yes, but
you mean to bowl? Oh, I don't. I guess unless
the Chicago Bears win the Super Bowl in the same weekend.
Yeah,
that's the only way I can see that being better. So, anyway, we're going to talk about the election.
There's something else going on today too.
Yeah, the election. We got the election going on. I think I'm speaking for Lefty here too. I have never been happier to see the end of an election season my entire life. I'm glad Lefty and I had the break last week because we were both kind of feeling, holy cow, if we have to go one more week, we're going to kill each other. Because, Hillary Clinton's a crook, Donald Trump's a misogynist. It's the same thing. Anyway, we're going to get back to some interesting things that are going on in the election tonight. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We couldn't do what we do without you. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Des Moines Anesthesia at 515-574-6442. They do pain management and anesthesia. They have offices here in Des Moines and in Fort Dodge. Halo Capital at Des Moines Interest Rates will be in this law firm and Bertrosha Associates. We will be back